Our group's name is Writers Cubed. I'm Tasha, that's Jen and Lois. They'll introduce themselves a little bit more. And our presentation today is about writing. So I hope you're in the right place, and if you're not, we're just going to shut the doors and lock you in anyway. Writing, an exploration of the career opportunities for those crazy and driven enough to become professional writers. It's a crazy career for sure. I'm Tahsha Wilson. That's my book, The Second Storm, that you can find on Amazon. And right now I have a young adult novel called Ancient Gravity that I am seeking representation for, trying to get it published. We are Writers Cubed. We're just 3 of Writers Cubed here today. We've got some other members that are way more cooler than us that couldn't be here. But we have a website, writerscubed.com. If you want to find out more about us, you can go there and check that out. We also are the creators of Teen Author Bootcamp, which we have some fellow bootcamp attendees here. We're excited to see you. Teen Author Bootcamp is a writing conference held at UVU. Last couple weeks ago was our 3rd year, and it's a fantastic writing conference if any of you are interested in writing. We have tons of authors, anywhere from Brandon Mull and Shannon Hale to Tyler Whitesides, Frank Cole, Jeff Savage, lots of fantastic authors teaching all sorts of things from plot to publishing to outlining to characters. There's tons of information, so it's for sure something you should think about if you're really interested in writing. But I want to find out by a raise of hands from you guys what kind of writing you're interested in. How many of you here are interested in fiction writing, writing novels and stories? Good, most of you. How about nonfiction? Anyone here really interested in writing nonfiction? A little bit? What about journalism or freelance writing? Oh, we've got one in the back. Awesome. Good. Is there anyone here interested in like the publishing industry of some sort, like editing or agenting? A little bit? Hey, a couple of you. Very cool. Very cool. We are all fiction writers for the most part. We've all dabbled in a little bit of other things, but for the most part right now we're all writing fiction. Most of us are writing young adult novels. Some of us are writing middle grade novels. Some of us are writing adult novels, but the young adults are way more fun to write. So why do you write? We write to explain something. We write because we want to make a point. Most of us here sounds like we write because we like to tell stories. We write because we like to report what happened. Writing is a form of communication. Writing can make someone else think. We write because we want to invent a world and make characters that go in our world. And for the most part, at least for me, we write to entertain, we write to delight. We write because we love it. And maybe we write to make money. Yeah, that's just $1. That's really probably like 20 bucks there. Okay, so how do you take the writing that you love to do and turn it into something more? You can go traditional publishing. You're the author. You can go through an editor. You can go through an agent, or you can become an agent or an editor yourself, which these ladies will talk more about. You can go into freelance writing or journalism, or you can go into independent publishing, which Lois is just an expert on. She has lots of good insight on that. I'm going to focus today on how to become a published author. It looked like more than half of us here were all interested in fiction writing, and you probably have those big dreams of getting your book published, seeing your book on the shelves, huh? I do too. So we're going to talk about that. The steps to publication. So the first thing you have to do is learn your craft. You have to be able to be a decent writer. And don't let that daunt you, because when I first started to write, which you guys are way, way ahead of me, because when I first started to write, it was seriously like 4 years ago. And I felt like a really bad writer. So don't let it daunt you. You have lots of times to learn your craft. You can do this in several ways. College, obviously. There are lots of classes you guys can take at college. What are some classes you guys think are offered to you in college universities or community colleges that are going to help you write? Any ideas? English. So your basic English class. Hey,
We knew you guys were smart.
you ladies, I have candy to wake you up.
Who's the smarty pants?
Who's the smarty patch that said English classes? Basic English, like you're taking here in high school. Guys, I should probably come to your high school English class. Learning just the basics of grammar, of the rules of English. I mean, it really is something that you're going to need to learn and to get better at if you want to be a good writer. You've got to learn where those commas go, and someone please come talk to me when you figured it out. They can test that. They call it comma confetti. Just kind of put them anywhere. So English classes. Any other ideas what other classes are offered at college? Creative writing classes. It's going to dig into actually how to write stories. Any other ideas? I saw hands and then you got scared. You get candy. What about, oh, Jen wants candy.
I do. Really? Can I have one? Okay. What about like American literature or English literature, any literature classes?
Yeah, it doesn't, like literature classes are not teaching you the basics of grammar, but you're learning about books, you're learning about writing and literature, and that's only going to help you be a better writer. Well, there are journalism classes, my little journalist in the back. There's journalism classes available to you.
Hey guys, as you come in, grab a green sheet of paper and a white sheet.
Oh, should we have them fill that out right now? Okay. You can go as far as getting a master's degree in English or creative writing, those kinds of things. Now, one thing I wanted to point out, if you're pursuing a career in journalism, writing for newspapers, magazines, reporting, that kind of stuff, you're going to need some college experience to really break into that industry. If you want to pursue a career in fiction writing, you don't have to have a master's degree. That's kind of like, I probably shouldn't say that, but you don't. And it's not like you're going to go to college, you're going to work all through college, and you're going to get this master's degree, and you're going to say, yay, I got a master's degree in English, so now publish my book. It doesn't happen that way. You still have to go through all the steps that I'm going to talk about to get your book published. It definitely helps. I'm not saying that don't worry about going to college. It for sure helps, but it is not mandatory. Oh. Okay, we can go to conferences like the Teen Author Boot Camp. You can, there's blogs, there's tons of books. Go to any bookstore, you're going to find tons of books. Lots of reading. If you like to write young adult fiction, read young adult fiction. That's what's going to help you see those things that they're doing. That's why you love those books. You're going to learn how to do that. And definitely write. If you want to learn to be a good writer, just sit down and write. Then you have to write a book. You have to finish it. And you have to be one of those 2% of people that actually finish their books. So this is where I'm going to focus the rest of my time. Then once your book is done, if you are a fiction writer and you want to publish your cool story, it has to be finished. If you're a nonfiction writer, it's a little different, but you have to have your book finished. If you go to an agent and say, I have this book idea, or I've half written a book, they're going to throw you in the trash really quick. So your book has to be done. And then you have to seek representation. You have to go, to get into the publishing industry, you pretty much have to get an agent. And how you do that is by writing a query letter. And it doesn't sound so awful, but it's really scary, I promise. I'm trying to do one right now. I am seeking representation right now. This is what I'm doing, so I'm learning while I'm teaching. So you write a query letter, which a query letter is basically a one-page letter saying, this is who I am, this is what my book is about. Do you want it? Are you really excited? You get about a paragraph to get the agent super excited about your book. It's kind of like a movie trailer. You guys have seen movie trailers where you watch it and you're like, I have to see that movie. Like a book jacket, just really quick to get me super excited about the book. Keep in mind that agents get dozens and dozens of those a day, and they like to throw them away. Hundreds. It is hard. I don't want to give you the harsh reality, but I don't want to make it, sad. It is hard, definitely, to break in this industry. And when you do write your query letter and you send it out to hundreds and hundreds of agents, you're going to get lots of rejections. That's part of this industry, is people saying no. But you're eventually going to get that one that says yes to you. There's some good, I'm not going to go too into query letters because it's intense, but if you guys want to write down those websites, those are some really good places to go to that are going to teach you how to write a query letter. Because like I said, writing one page doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but there are strict guidelines and rules, and if they're not followed, they're throwing you in the trash really quickly. So you've got to write it the correct way. Once you get that agent that we all dream to get, they're going to sign you on. They are going to be your liaison between you, the creative author, and the big bad publishing industry, the business end of it. They handle all the business end of it. And they're going to have you rewrite your book, unfortunately, because you're probably going to rewrite it 4 or 5 times before you submit it to an agent. Then they're going to have you rewrite it again probably more than once. Ask Jen. She's been rewriting her book for her agent several times. Then they're going to do exactly what you did for them. They're going to go to the publishers and say, look at this cool author. Look at this really cool book. Do you want to buy it and spend all your money on it? They're trying to now query your book and trying to get your book published. Keep in mind, publishers are in the business. They are looking at your book as a product. They're saying, why is this book something that I should buy? Why should I spend all my money on printing this book and spend my money on putting it on the bookshelves? It costs them money to put your books on the bookshelves. Are people going to like your book? Are you going to make me money? So they're looking at you as a product to sell and money to make. And your author and your agent, again, is the person that's kind of be your liaison between that. Keep writing, keep writing, keep writing. Keep in mind, Brandon Sanderson, has anyone heard of Brandon Sanderson? He's a pretty big author. He didn't sell his books until his 6th novel that he had completed. And he tried to publish all of them, and it took his 6th one to get published. And now he's Brandon Sanderson. So keep writing. And every time you write, your book is going to get better. And every time you rewrite and rewrite, it's going to get better.
So Brandon Sanderson, just a year or two ago, signed a book deal for $1 million. So keep in mind, it's okay if you don't succeed at first.
Yes.
You could end up doing very well.
Keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. And it's just going to get you better every time you try again. It's going to make you a better writer. Just really quickly, just so you kind of have an understanding of publishing, authors are usually paid a very small advance. They're going to give you some money up front if the publisher signs you on. $10,000 to $15,000 for a first-timer, which I know seems like lots of money, but it's really like not. It's not J.K. Rowling. You're not going to go buy a castle in Scotland with that. But for a first-timer, it's modest. And then once your book has sold all that it can to pay off that advance that they first give you, you're going to get a percentage of your book. And all of this completely is dependent on your publishing company, on your agent and the contracts that they sign, on your name. It's kind of like actors. They're going to pay a lot more to have like a big name Brad Pitt in the story or in the movie because they know people will see it. So if you're a bigger name, they're going to pay a lot more for your books. If you're a first-timer, it's going to be kind of small, but keep that in mind. Okay, I'm turning my time over to Jen, I believe, and my mic. She's going to talk a little bit more to you about the other side of it.
Yeah, right there. I'll try and go fast. Do I have to like hold this like this? I'm not very cool, guys. I don't even know how to put this on. Okay. Oh, what happened? We're going back. Here we go. That's me. My name's Jennifer Jenkins. I work with a literary agent. We've just been talking about agents. I work with Amy Jameson, and I'll tell you a little bit about her in a second. I'm the author of Losing His Grip, and I've also, I wanted to talk to you just for a minute about kind of my journey in finding my agent, and just to give you some perspective. I started writing about 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago. That's embarrassing to admit. And I decided I never really loved reading growing up, which is really not good if you want to be a writer, just so you know. You should like to read. But I was diagnosed dyslexic and struggled with just reading. In college, I remember just thinking like, we would be assigned a chapter, and I got my degree in history, which is one of the most reading-intensive majors that you can go through. And I just remember being assigned 2 chapters in the textbook to read, and it taking me like 2 hours to do it, next to the guy that, it would take 20 minutes to the smart kid, but their brain wasn't screwed up like mine. But I over time and with a lot of practice and a lot of drills and some good teachers, I overcame that, and I still struggle with it with numbers and stuff like that. But ended up discovering books after I graduated from college. I decided that, oh my goodness, these are kind of cool, and I became addicted and started writing and decided one day I want to write a book. And, you have that idea. It took me about 8 months to write my first book. And I thought, this is a cool concept. I'm going to go and write this, and it's going to be awesome. I'm going to, you know, have you guys ever seen Little Women? It's old school for you. Nobody? Oh, a few. Okay, I'm sorry. Well, the whole thing is Jo March, she's this author, and she sends her book out into the world, and she's in her kitchen or something, doing something, and then it comes back in this brown paper bag with a little sprig of lavender tucked into the string that's tying the pages together, and it's like she was published. And I'm not saying that, you know, her journey wasn't hard, but I just always envisioned that that's what it would be like. You know, I'd write this book, and then everybody would come back, and they would, all of these agents would just be clamoring to get me on their client roll. That didn't happen. In fact, nobody wanted my first book. I queried that book probably 50 times, and I got a few bites, but really, really nobody wanted it. And I still like that book. I thought it was okay, but I didn't know how to write a query letter effectively, and I wasn't that good of a writer. I said it. But, you know, over time, taking Tahsha's advice, I just kept writing and kept writing and kept writing. I wrote another book, ended up landing my agent, Amy Jameson. She's worked with, she's the one that kind of discovered Shannon Hale. If you guys know Shannon Hale, the Goose Girl, Princess Academy. Yeah, that's her. And she's, yeah, her agency works with like Michael Crichton and President Jimmy Carter and all of this stuff. And this woman took me on, and I'm this no-name dyslexic girl who decided one day that she liked books and she wanted to be a writer. It takes a lot of work, guys, and that's why I wanted to tell you that story. It's right now, we'll talk I'm going to talk to you mostly today about becoming a literary agent and also becoming an editor. And as I go through, I'll give you some personal account on what I'm going through right now and the submission process and all of that. So becoming a literary agent. So here's some qualifications. If you are interested in becoming a literary agent, does everybody raise your hand if you do not feel like you know what a literary agent is at this point? Okay, really quick. Tahsha kind of touched on it. It is the person that represents you to a big publishing house. I cannot go up to Random House and say, I wrote this book. You should check it out. They'll say, oh, sweetheart, that's really nice. No. And they probably won't call me sweetheart either. But I have no credibility in the industry as a first-time author. That's what I'm considered a first-time author. And so I need a literary agent, somebody to champion my work. That usually, a lot of times, literary agents give you feedback on your story, make you go through and do rewrites and all of that, and get it into shape so that it's ready for a publisher. And then they take it to the publisher. And what the agent does is they first pitch the book, and then they shop a deal. They try and negotiate a contract. As the author, I don't worry about any of that. I don't even have to worry about it. You know, she goes and shops my book, and then she comes back and says, you have this offer and this offer. I haven't had this conversation yet, but it's coming really soon. You have this offer from this company, you have this offer from this company, you know, and she negotiates. She's like the lion for me. That I release into the publishing world. Anyway, to become a literary agent, here's what you need. A degree in English doesn't hurt. This second bullet is your biggest one, though, guys. It's time spent in the publishing industry with a literary agent or a publishing house. Now, how do I get into that industry if it's like the cat trying to chase his tail or the dog trying to chase his tail. How do I get into that industry if I'm supposed to be, if I want to be an agent and I have to be in the industry to be an agent? Am I making sense? No, I'm not. Okay, let me try again. If you want to be an agent, you have to go get a peon job. Do you know what that is? Who flips burgers here? I love you. That's a peon job. That's why you're going to school, right? So you don't flip burgers the rest of your life. To be a literary agent, you have to go and get a peon job. You have to go be a grunt in a publishing house or a literary agency and pretty much make copies and do everything that nobody else wants to do. Sounds exciting? If you love books and you love the publishing industry, probably would be exciting. I'd be excited by the prospect of it, but you will not make very much money. In fact, that's the next point. Expect to make very little as you learn the business, but you're getting in there and you're making contacts and you're learning things as you go. A lot of jobs, guys, when you graduate from college, a lot of people have this misconception that, hey, I have done it, I have arrived, now I'm going to go make $120K and vacation in Cancun twice a year. It doesn't happen that way. You still have to pay your dues in the industry. So plan on that. Agents earn 15% of the deal they broker. My literary agent, Amy Jameson, I haven't paid her a dime. The author doesn't pay the agent. What happens is the agent goes out and gets theirs. Okay? They go out, they broker the deal, and just like a real estate agent, in fact, I think that's the next one, they work on commission. Yeah. Standard, just like real estate agents, there's a standard percentage. Industry-wide, if you want to be a literary agent, you will make 15% of the deal you broker. That's domestic sales. Domestic sales means like in the country, outside of the country. Foreign sales, it's typically 20%. And that's standard. So going back to you authors that are going to be looking for agents, if you ever have somebody that asks you for money, yeah, I'll be your agent. I'll only charge you, $500 a month while I shop your book. That is called a scam. A good literary agent will never charge. In fact, they will be written up and totally penalized by the industry if they are caught charging these authors. They make their money on commission, and it's all based on what they do for you. That's why it's so hard to get an agent, because for me, especially for a first-time author, they're taking a big chance on you. They're saying, you know what, I'm willing to work for free and consider you an investment because it's going to be hard to sell your book because nobody knows you. And when I do sell your book, I'm going to be getting 15% of not a whole lot. Do you see what I'm saying? So, 2 minutes, okay. But the profit potential with this, if you stick with it, and they say average is about 5 years once you've been working with an agency, that you will move from like an associate agent up to a full agent. Anyway, profit potential can actually be pretty good because you don't only work one customer, right? My agent works with multiple, and she actually doesn't take on many clients, but Joe's agent has like 50 clients. 15% of 50 deals, potential deals, is a decent amount of money. Okay. So a few things you need to learn to become an agent. Several years of experience in publishing, talked about that. Familiarity with publishing contracts, high level of comfort with working with them, and that's how that experience is going to play for you. Good business sense. Oh, how about number 3, genuine care about the authors and writing, a love for books and literature and reading. You're going to be doing a ton of that. Good business sense and strong understanding of how to be a salesperson. The entrepreneurial, why can't I say that? Spirit and the go-getter attitude. You're working on commission, and there's no money like commission, guys, but it's also higher risk. You've got to be, if you're going to be the type of person that works on commission, you've got to be a go-getter. You've got to go get yours. And also a commitment to ethical business practices. Becoming an editor is a little different. Editors make average in New York $53,500 a year. That includes magazine, book, news, etc. That's average. So high end, you're around 100K. Low end, you're around 30. Again, same thing. Job description. What is an editor? They acquire books for publishers. So right now, my agent is working with different editors that work at publishing houses, and they the editors that she is shopping my book to make that decision whether they want to take it or not. They also, book editors read manuscripts, which are unpublished drafts of books, and decide whether the work should or should not be bought and then sold to the public. That decision usually comes down to taste and an eye for the market. And they edit books, right? A lot of times authors, once they work with an editor, they cultivate this relationship because you're going back and forth with an editor, making changes to a book that's like your baby. I've heard several editors that actually, they'll change publishing houses and they'll take their authors with them because that relationship is so strong. So editors, if you want to be an editor, that means that you want to read like crazy. You have to be a voracious reader. And also, you have to really know what's going on in the market. And then you have to obviously be willing to work creatively with an author. Sounds kind of cool. I actually would love that type of job. I think it would be a lot of fun. You want to pay me to read books? I'm in. Career advice. If you want to be a book editor, oh, I just told you this. I'm good. Okay, well, I'm going to turn the time. Huh? I'm done. I'm going to turn the time over to Lois. Am I okay?
Yeah, I said you're over, and then like, oh, I'm done. He's like, oh, you're fast. I'm done. Okay, your little white papers.
Oh, I forgot.
Oh, no, it's fine. Take a minute and write your name on them. We're going to give a T-shirt away from the Teen Author Boot Camp. I'm going to sneak over here and grab it. So if you write your name on there, we'll do a quick drawing before we leave. This is the T-shirt. We have a little military theme going on. Also, we have a website. We have a Facebook page. It's called Facebook.com/teenauthorbootcamp.com. And on that page, we do writing tips. We like to talk about local authors. We do some contests. We have a fun time. So if you want to like that page so you can get those posts, just put a check mark underneath your name and write your name legibly. Legibly? So we can invite you. All we'll do is type in your name and send you an invite, and you can like our page, and then you'll get those posts if that's something you want to do. All right. My name is Lois Brown. I graduated in college with a journalism degree and worked at newspapers for a while. I then got a master's degree in communications research. I love nonfiction, but right now I write fiction. How does that work? A lot of authors actually start their career doing nonfiction. It's a great way to become a very organized, logical writer, which it can really help you to be a creative writer. Okay, let me start again. I worked in journalism, got a master's degree, then I went to corporate marketing, which is writing newsletters for large companies. I did all of their communications with other businesses and enjoyed that for about a year and a half, had a baby, and decided I didn't want to work full time. This is where freelance writing really becomes an awesome job opportunity for those who want to work at home, set their own hours, and you set your own pay as well. So I decided I have a baby, I want to write from home. Where do I begin? Well, when I was a journalist, for a while I worked in Washington, D.C. as a news correspondent. I had a press badge, I was in the White House, I would ask questions to the president, and then I found myself 4 or 5 years later doing really menial writing for like goofy newsletters, okay, because I wanted to start freelancing, but you have to start somewhere. As all careers, like Jen said, you usually have to go through a bit of you have to start small and get bigger. So I went from writing newspaper articles about the Queen of England to very small newsletter articles, but I didn't give up. You keep working. The progression of freelance work, and this is for those who want to think about it, you can actually start now making money because you do it from home. And it doesn't matter if you're a teenager or not. Typically, people freelancing will start with content mills. These are websites, and this is where you could start. A few of them are listed here, heliumfreelancer.com, eHow. This site right there, the red one that's really long, that one has a list of about 500 content mills. These places do not pay very well. They will literally pay $10 to $15 for an article. So you're not going to make a lot of money, but you start getting a name. and you start making a portfolio. Like an artist has a portfolio. You need to make a portfolio of your writing. So when people say, okay, I'll hire you to write, what have you written before? You have something to show them. Then you typically progress. You can move to online freelancer sites. This is a step up from Content Mills. A few of those are Odesk and Elance. That's where you advertise your services as a freelance writer, and then people will see what you have written before, and then they will hire you. Traditional querying, this is typically for a freelance writer, this means magazine articles. You can publish in Women's Day or maybe some kind of a Consumer Reports, all sorts of magazines out there. And then you can move up to local corporations. That sounds funny, but it's almost harder to get local contracts, local jobs, than it is to get jobs on the internet and further away. But that is where your money is. It's typically, well, I'd say traditional querying, you can make good money, and then local corporations, you can make very good money. How do you get into local corporations? Once you have a portfolio, you're going to make a resume, and then you're going to just go to corporations like Novell, Tahsha Noni. You probably know a few, Tahsha Noni Juice. There's all sorts of larger corporations in Utah County, multi-million-dollar corporations. You go to those places, you drop by, you make a phone call, whatever, and you be sure to get your resume into as many hands as you can. And believe it or not, you will start to grow your portfolio. These are a few examples of what my portfolio looked like when I was doing freelance. All right, stand up for yourself. As a writer, in so many ways, you have to have a tough skin. Whether you're querying traditionally, like Tahsha talked about, and you get rejections, you'll also have people tell you to leave and not to bother them anymore. I remember once when I was doing freelance work, I was at Covey Leadership Center, and I had been hired to write a magazine article. And at that point, that was probably 15, maybe 15 years ago, maybe 12. And I went in, it was like the vice president of the company wanted to meet because he had some sort of a connection to the article. And at that time, I charged 25 cents a word. So you do the math. If you write a 2,000-word article, that gives you an idea of how much I was making. Nowadays, you make as much as $1.25 a word. And I remember the vice president said, "What? I'm going to pay you 25 cents every time you write the word the?" And I said, "Yes. And you're going to write me 25 cents every time I write and but as well." And he kind of shut his mouth. And you just have to learn to have a thick skin and stand up for yourself as a writer. Also, this is an example. Charlene Wells Hawks, she was Miss America years ago. She wanted to write a book, and I was contacted to be a ghostwriter. That means that I write the book, but Charlene gets the byline. This is a byline. It's the thing on the bottom that says who wrote the book. And I thought, you know what? I don't want to not have my name on this. I had written probably 50 books at that time, all nonfiction, that didn't have my name on them at all. I was usually on the inside cover as an editor, though I had actually written the book. So I had to negotiate a contract that said, no, I want my name on that cover. It's a little smaller than Charlene Wells, but that's okay. All right, keep your options open if you want to be a freelancer. These are some of the things you can write for people. Brochures. You can write the content on people's websites. Booklets, trifolds, infomercials. Yes, I wrote some of those. But wait, that's not all. You can also get things like that. I wrote them. You can do books, both nonfiction and fiction, both print and ebook, editing, proofing, magazine articles, blogging, either on your own blog and you make money by advertising on your blog, or you can guest blog for people and make money. Newsletters, event materials, those are things at trade shows, and customer success stories. All right. We are going to post this PowerPoint online, and you'll find out where on the Facebook site. So if you don't get all this down, you can just get it online. All right, and then as a freelancer, you need to propose your own ideas. These are a couple books that I proposed. One was for Tahsha Noni Juice. The other one was a self-help book. All right, what I'm up to now, I decided to write fiction. I was tired of nonfiction after about 15 or 20 years, and I started to write nonfiction. This is a book that I independently published. That means I had no agent, and I had no editor, and I had no publishing house. I did everything from the bottom up. I wrote it, I edited it, I contracted people to proof it to make sure it was good. I actually did my layout, I designed my cover, and then I published it. I first published it as an ebook through Amazon.com. And then I published it as a hard book, hard copy, and I did that through CreateSpace. There are other avenues to do that. I like it. I'm a do-it-yourself sort of person. I enjoyed doing this. It's a lot more work, but you also get more money. Typically, if you get an agent, well, I need to qualify that. Typically, when you get an agent and then you get a publishing contract, you will get, after your advance, like Jen said, 10 to 20% of sales. If you independently publish, you get 70% of sales. But you do not have a big name behind you with a publisher, and so you will sell fewer books in the beginning. And if you don't stick with it and learn how to market, then you probably will not make a lot. If you learn how to market and stick with it, you could easily make as much as with a traditional contract. You will probably sell fewer books, but since you're making more money on each book, it may even out if you stick with it. It's not easy, but it's a lot of fun. These are some other books that I've self-published independently, and I want to point out, some of them are short stories. In fact, a lot of them are short stories. But it's quicker. So if you want to publish something independently, you can write it and do the whole process less than 6 months, whereas if you want to go through a traditional route, it will take you to actually go from writing your book to seeing it on bookshelves several years, up to several years. For a first-time author, it could be as many as 3 or 4. But, and I haven't even, and I want to be also very clear that I have done independently published books. I've been a freelancer, and I am still working on the traditional side. There's no reason to put all your eggs in one basket. It's a great way to spread yourself, diversify, and see where you can make money. All right, show me the money. These are some examples of how much you'll make as a freelancer. News articles, these are the content mills, $15 to $20 or $15 to $50, not very much. You could never support a family on that. But it's a good place to start. So if you have a full-time job and you think, I eventually want to become a full-time writer making money, you can do well. Writing novels for people, ghostwriting, $50 to $75 per page. Do the math if you're writing a 250-page book. Proofreading is $1 a page, editing is $2. Magazine articles, you can make $600 to $2,000. That's when I mentioned Women's Day and some of those national magazines. Articles for web content, not very much again, $10 to $50. Piecemeal work, that means someone hires you for this or that. Like a corporation will say, you know what, this person really liked our product. Will you interview them and write an article? You will typically make 15 cents to $1.25 a word, and your wage per hour. This is often done on retainer through a company. You can earn up to $100 an hour. When I was a freelancer, I worked part-time, but I made $85 an hour. Not bad for being a mom at home. All right, most freelancers start small, build up. Eventually, you set your own wage. That's what's really fun about freelancing. Keep in mind, someone has to pay you that wage. So if you set it at $85 an hour and you don't have a portfolio, no one's going to pay you that. And then the best part is being a freelancer, you can work as many or as few hours as you want. I got to the point where I was turning down clients. I had too much work, and I still wanted to be a mommy. All right, we are done with that. I wanted to mention I'm going to be donating my book to the library. If anybody's interested in it, you can get it at the library. Check it out. Also, if you want to take my business card, right now I have my ebook for free on Amazon, the first in a series. So take my business card. It'll say my name. Just punch my name into Amazon, and the book cycles will come up. It's free. So if you don't, to read an ebook, you need a Kindle, you need an iPad, or just, you could just get it on a computer, but you have to, it's digital, right? It's electronic, so that's how. But it's a free ebook right now. Grab my card on your